Hey guys, Megan here at Suntwist Acres. Today I'm making a batch of hamburger buns. Well, this recipe is meant to be hamburger buns, but we use this for just our regular sandwich bun of any sort. Whether we're making hamburgers or sloppy joes or pulled pork, or if I'm just making a sandwich for my husband for work or the kids for school or whatever. I really like this recipe. It turns out really good. The only thing about it is once we get into it, you'll see that the dough is very sticky. But I don't want you to be intimidated by that. I want you to give this a try. I would say that this is more of an intermediate than a beginner recipe, but the only way you're going to learn how to make bread is by trying. So I encourage you to give this recipe a try. So I've got the ingredients laid out here before us. I've already measured out all of mine out, and I've already given you all a list. So I don't know if you're following along with me, but I hope that you are, because that's the point of this video. Okay, so let's get into it. Very simply with this recipe, all we need to do is we're going to add our water. This water is lukewarm. I'm not going to take any temperatures or anything like that. We've got some room temperature whole milk. Sorry, that's 3/4 of a cup of both of those. To that, I'm going to add my oil. It doesn't really matter in which order you add these together. That's 1/4 of a cup of oil. We do want to hold our salt off to the side though, because we're going to add that after. We don't want the salt and the yeast coming into contact with each other. I'm going to add my sugar. This is 1/4 of a cup of sugar. That's just a whole cane sugar. Give that a stir. And I have a fork here for my eggs. These eggs are also at room temperature. I tend not to keep my eggs in the fridge because we've got chickens, so our eggs, they're usually fresh. So I'm just going to give these a little bit of a mix here. And in go our 4 room temperature eggs. We'll give that another little mix and kind of try and mix the sugar in there. Whoops. I never said I was a clean cook. And to that, we're going to add our 2 teaspoons of an active dry yeast. Now, I know that my yeast is good. If you're not sure about your yeast, you are going to want to proof it first, or prove it, or I don't know what the actual words are, guys. You put it in your warm water and make sure that it gives you a little reaction, that it starts to rise. If not, your yeast could be dead. And it can happen, even to the best of us. Especially if you've let your because I can talk. Especially if you've let your yeast sit, say in your fridge or your freezer or anything like that. So you can just let this whole mixture sit here for a few if you want to make sure that your yeast is going to have its reaction that it's supposed to. Let it rehydrate a little bit. And then what we're going to do to that is we're going to slowly start adding in our flour. This is 5, I can't remember now. So this is 5 3/4 cup, and I'm just using plain white flour. Okay, this isn't bread flour. It doesn't have to be. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. So this is just plain white flour. And today it's not even organic. Usually I use organic, but sometimes it's hard to find. So we're just going to add half of this, or so. I'm going to eyeball about half of it. We're going to mix this because the other half we're going to mix. Actually, I'll do that also here. My salt, I'm going to mix into the other half. As always, the roosters are cawing away. Welcome to Sun Twist Acres. And it's raining. It's not very nice out there. Okay, now we're just going to mix all of this together. And that's what it should look like. Kind of sloppy ploppy. And then we're going to mix the other half that's got our salt in it. My arm's getting sore, guys. Yeah, time to get working out. Okay, now, remember when I said that this is a wet dough? It's a wet dough, okay? So that's what I mean when I say this one's a little bit more difficult to work with. Okay? So it'll start to get harder to mix it in your bowl. If you don't have one of these, I recommend getting one. Never done this before, but I'll try and leave a link in the description box below where I got this. I got it on Amazon because I buy a lot of my stuff on Amazon. So any of you who've watched my bread videos before know that I don't have some wonderful counter in which to roll my my bread out on. But what I do have is this fabulous silicone mat that I got from Home Hardware. I'm pretty sure. Home Hardware? I think so. Yeah. This mat that I got from Home Hardware, which is great. And, well, as you can see, this is for rolling your pies out. It's got measurements along the sides. So this is really good when I do my cinnamon buns. But I mostly use it when I'm hand kneading my bread dough. Okay, so this is where we're going to start running into some problems and where you're going to feel like you just can't do this or you've done something wrong. So this dough is very sticky. It should be very sticky. It's supposed to be sticky. So don't resist the urge to add flour to this. And right now, my biggest problem is I keep losing my sleeves. Okay. So I just take it and fold it and take it and fold it and move it around. And we're just mixing our dough right now. And then we're going to stretch our dough. Okay, this is starting to get to be where we want it to be at for us to do our stretch and fold. So, the way that I do this part here might be cheating, I don't know, but I always use a little oil so that I don't have to add more moisture into my bread, but
if I add a little bit of oil to my hands, I can handle this dough and I can stretch it better. This is just the way that I do it. Maybe not the way that everybody would do this, but I find it's less frustrating. So you want to get this into your hands and you want to splat it down like that and fold it in on itself. It's kind of a bit of a technique that I'm not even super great at, but you will see that after you do this a few times, it starts to not be quite as sticky. So you see that I'm just pinching this together.
Okay.
I'm talking to the camera and turning it and pinching it and then rolling it to seal the bottom up. Also trying to get all the air bubbles out of it. So pinch, turn, squeeze out the air. As best you can. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so we did 14. Now we're going to let these sit here for 5 minutes. Just to sit and relax for a while. Okay, so these guys have rested for a couple of minutes. I'm going to put some oil on this. It's non-stick, but I'm still going to oil it. So I like to do my buns on these silicone sheets. They are non-stick, but I still oil them just in case. And then we're just going to take each one of these and I'm going to get some oil on them as well. We can soak some up from the pan. You can see what I'm doing. Now if you want these guys to rise together and touch each other, which we can do, you just have to put them a little closer together. Maybe I'll do 6 on one tray, 8 on another, and we'll see how well they do. There. Okay, so I've got 8 there. We're going to cover this. I'm going to spread these ones out further apart, which you can sort of see there. So those ones are spread further apart. And these ones are closer together. You could just use a cloth, but I highly recommend using plastic wrap. It gives you a better seal. But if you're looking out for the environment, just use a cloth. So those two are both ready to put into the proofer, if you have one. My oven is actually hot because I was making cookies, so I'm actually just going to leave these right here. Just like this, with a cloth over them, or 2. Right there. And we'll leave these here until they double in size. Do keep your eye on them. You don't want them to overproof. Once they've doubled, it'll take anywhere from half an hour to an hour. If your kitchen is cold, it could even be an hour and a half. Keep your eye on them. And once they've doubled, then we're going to bake them. Okay, so these guys have doubled in size. I'm going to take the plastic off and put them in my oven, which I've heated to 350 degrees. And we're going to cook them for about 20 minutes or so. We'll keep our eye on them and see how they look. If you want to, you can add some sesame seeds to the top of these. Shh. But you don't have to, and I'm not going to. Okay, so this is what they look like when they're all done. So that's the difference between the ones I put close together. That was 8 on the pan. And what these guys look like, that were all separate. So these ones will be more, you know, they're a little hot. Whew, have an individual bun. And then these ones will have little, oh, I don't know if I can pull them apart because, ow, they're hot. There. Whew. Yep, I'm burning my fingers.
Stop touching it.
No, I'm videotaping it. So, that's what they look like. I think I prefer these ones that are stuck together, just because you get that little soft bit. Anyways, there you go. Hamburger buns, you guys. Yummy.